And boom, welcome to Tokyo Tonight. My name is Hiko Simon. It's 10:30 p.m., 10:33 p.m. Japan Standard Time. And it's great to see you all. I am still sorting out the new studio setup a little bit. But in fact, let me just point this back this way. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Yeah, so I should really sit more over here, shouldn't I? Yeah, plus I've got the camera now flipping between showing a kind of a cool like desktop, like flipped upside down version where everything's dark. With the some people may have seen on Tokyo Digital Crew that I've been doing some. I figured out a new format for doing DJ sets where I can actually show you everything going on the iPad at the same time, but it involves using this webcam in a totally different mode. So I had to go reset all the settings of that. That's cool. That stuff happens. Hopefully, how's my sound? You can hear me okay? I should just quickly check my levels. Hang on a sec. My son here is asking for extra game time, which I will give him so that I can keep talking. Yeah, okay, so anyway, great to see you all as always. Who we got in the chat here? We've got Brad F. Anyone care to forecast the value of the yen in the Trump era? Anyone, if I could forecast the value of the yen, I would not have sold at 130 all my US dollars. From what I've seen, it's been steady at 156. The yen apparently after the inauguration got a little bit stronger by like 1 yen, but not so much that people think that that's going to change dramatically. So, yeah, I don't know. I think with America taking on policies to incentivize people to move all their money back into America at the moment, including tariffs and manufacturing so that you're not subject to those, I suspect that the current policies of the new government in America mean the dollar's going to get stronger, and I don't see anything that the Japanese government's doing to make the yen get stronger. So even though I do continue to think that the yen is out of whack and it should be 121 at most, 110 normally, I don't see that going back in the near future. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Smoky Bangkok. Oh, you're having the fires. This is the fires from Indonesia. Those are really bad down in Singapore, where you get all the fires from Sumatra. Is it this time of year that they go burn those and it basically sets all the peat on fire and gives everybody choking air pollution? If that's what you're getting in Bangkok, that sucks. But yeah, hope you're okay there. Void Theft made it in second. Glad that you can make it. I saw that you were having some PC problems and you weren't able to join the last few weeks, so I'm very glad to have you joining this week. Still making minor adjustments here as I am talking to you. Everything on this show is always a work in progress, always making slight, I'd like to think, improvements. Sometimes things that turn out not to be improvements, but yeah. That's better. Let's do this. Okay. Messing with things too much and making it worse and then making it better again. This should be better. So, you won't be present during the streaming, be watching it afterwards. Well, anyway, I'm glad that you're back. What happened to previous comments, says Lara. I don't know. There were previous comments. These are the only ones I can see. Who knows? Google. I blame Trump. I think it's now. We've now gotten to the time. I think from this week we can now officially blame things. On anything goes wrong, I'm just going to blame Google or Trump. There is a thing as well with YouTube. I mean, this is really why Google, I feel like, has lost its mojo completely. I am now sharing this show mainly from Blue Sky. I'm finding, even though I have like 15,000 followers on Twitter and 500 followers on Blue Sky, yet I get way more interaction on Blue Sky. And pretty much now, I would say a solid 85% of people that I really enjoy following on Twitter are now all on Blue Sky. So I'm happy to be that you get more characters, you don't have the crappy algorithms, so that's why I'm over there. And it is, there are millions of people using the service, and it's based in Seattle. It's a US social media service. And yet when I try to share my videos from YouTube, the sharing buttons have like, I think they still have like MySpace or something. I don't know. They've got all these outdated social networks, but you don't have but you can't share onto Blue Sky. It just shows that YouTube just has completely lost the ability to like, it's so overcomplicated. It's become like Microsoft Word or Outlook or Excel, where they just can't, you know, they're so tied down by all the legacy clutter that they just can't update anything anymore. But anyway, I digress. Believe in yourself. Great to see you, and saying hello to all the people who are already in here. Who else we got in here? We've got people saying hello to each other. Lara having trouble spelling LOL, I believe. I think those are all attempts. It's okay. We know what you mean. Ida, hello, man in Denmark. Good to have you in here. I do like the little Godzilla emoji. I've been playing some Fortnite, so doing a lot of Godzilla stuff lately. I must say, I always thought that Gojira sounds better than Godzilla. Like, Godzilla sounds kind of quasi-religious or something. It's kind of, yeah, that always made more sense to me. Anyway, who else we got in here? We got technical issues. Yes, we have tech squirrels. We've got Aaron, our moderator, boom, in the chat. Great to see you in there, and hope that you are staying warm there in Indiana. I have been looking at temperatures because I am running. I am training pretty much every day. I only take Fridays off from running at the moment, from now until March 2nd, Tokyo Marathon Day. I'm just following a marathon training program I found on the internet, and it is horrible. I'm not even thinking about it. I'm taking some tips from my dad, who used to be in the army, telling stories about when he had to do horrible things, and not killing people. I'm not talking about that. Just talking about like, you know, that have army games or whatever, you know, like, you know, competitions. And he'd always say, you know, he'd just tell his platoon, whatever it is, don't think about it, just effing do it. And that's kind of what I'm doing. I remember him talking about these stories. And yes, I that's the voice I say to myself. I don't even think. Today I had to run for 3 hours. And I've never run for 3 hours in my life. Even the other weekend, I broke my record. I ran for 2 hours 40, a half marathon. I can run in 1 hour 45. So that was the longest I'd ever run before. And I broke that record last week. I ran more than 30 kilometers. Today I ran a full 3 hours and I ran 36 kilometers. I got slower as it went along because it was painful. But yeah, the thing is, when it's freezing cold, today it was freezing cold wind. I've got to get up early in the morning to do it. It's like, you know, and it's colder where Erin is, I know. So yeah, I found a 24-hour Anytime Fitness around the corner from my house, and it's great because I can use the other locations as well. And I'm just using the treadmill. Treadmills are boring, but the factor that would stop me from going outside, if it's raining or it's freezing cold or it's snowing or whatever, I can just go into the gym, watch some YouTube videos, watch some good YouTube videos today actually while I was doing it, and just get it done. And that's what I'm doing. I'm fit as hell at the moment, but my toes today, yeah, I started to get real like damage from the distance. But 36K, I'm getting better. So yeah, counting down 1 month until Tokyo Marathon. I can't wait till it's over. I was actually planning. I joined the gym. I want to build up some actual muscle, not just be like a skinny running guy. Good to have my weight under control, of course, but yeah, I'm not doing that at the moment because the running takes up so much time. But I'm looking forward to actually switching up what I do at the gym, because I think all the stuff at the moment says that running is not good for extending your life. It's kind of good for short-term health, but long-term they say you should be doing weights, which I'm not doing at all because I hate doing weights, but I'm thinking I should probably switch to that. So anyway, DJ Sunny Setup asking, am I using an audio interface? No, this is just a USB. This is the Blue Yeti, and it is a USB microphone. It plugs straight into the computer. I don't even think about it. I should use an audio interface perhaps if I got a fancy XLR mic. I've had my eye on the Shure microphones that cost like 70,000 yen. It's whenever you look at the really fancy channels on YouTube, they've always got the same mic. It's like on the sort of an arm thing where it points at 90 degrees, and it's like a little shotgun, like a stubby shotgun kind of pointing at someone, and you need an interface for that. But I must say the Yeti does the job. So that's what I'm using. We've got from Greece, from Athens, we've got Black Tingu. How are you doing? Almost forgot about the time. Well, I'm glad that you made it. I'm here saying this. It's a good thing about being consistent with the time, I guess, is that you can join. Really challenging when I'm in New Zealand. But yeah, I'm glad that you remembered. I'm glad that you made it. Tadom, welcome. Good of you to join during the week as well when I was experimenting with the new interface that I'm going to use for the after party. That was awesome. Yep, everyone can hear fine. Good sound. Glad to hear that. Extra game time. Check. Yes. Is that... Brad's wife. I am Mr. Low Tone Man. Hey, baby. Is that what I have? The guy who just drones on and on and on. Low tone. That's what I do. I'm Tone Loke. Funky Cole Medina. That's... No, there's not really a good way to interpret that. I am that man. Thank you. Tell your wife that the Low Tone Man says hi. Trump is behaving strangely for a change. I mean, if you think about it, I think if Trump suddenly started doing normal things, wouldn't that be Trump acting strangely? I think he's acting pretty much as we would expect. There are some things actually outside of the scope of Japan. He's not really paid much attention to Japan, except taking credit for Masayoshi Son pretending he has $5 billion of money to give to American AI development. Apart from that, he hasn't paid attention. It's been pretty good attention so far. It's kind of funny. I am a great believer that even an insane psycho asshole, and not just Trump, I mean, anybody. Oh, is the camera doing that thing again? Oh, stop doing that. I told you not to do that. Stop following me. Off, tracking off. Good. I've got to turn off the gesture control. Because I just gesticulate. That's what I do. Hang on a sec. Where'd it go? Here. Let's... boom. Where are the controls? Here. Gesture controls off. More settings. Ugh. I've got to figure out the camera settings for this. I never really think about it except for when I'm doing the show, and then it's always too late. Trump or the people working for him occasionally actually get some things right. And I'm a great believer in giving credit to people who you disagree with when they do things right. I really dislike this kind of, blue team, red team, everything they do. Literally, like, promoting puppies, people will oppose if they think it's something that belongs to the other team. So is it just me, or is that camera wobbling at the moment? That is wobbling quite a lot. What is going on? Anyway, I am for puppies, even if bad people are promoting them. So from that perspective, Trump's done some things I'd give him credit for. And actually, his foreign policy, which is what I care the most about, or at least the foreign policy of the people who are advising him, kind of seemed batshit crazy, but it kind of is interesting, particularly the way he seems to be going tough on Russia. Thank you. And even his actual Middle East and oil strategy, it kind of makes sense. So, yeah, he's behaving strangely, but at the same time, I am kind of hopeful that, maybe some things will get right. So there we go. The soothing sounds of Hiko Simon. Well, like I say, you can use me to help get to sleep if that's your thing. There we go. I don't know what sort of dreams you'd see. Kerberos Tenshi, good to see you, Kerberos Tenshi. Australia found a new, very venomous spider. Please, yeah, this is Australia. All spiders that you find in Australia are very venomous, but there we go. It's called the big boy spider and is related to the funnel web spiders. I've mentioned this before. Whenever I'm in Australia, as a New Zealander, we have no poisonous spiders in New Zealand, even though we're right by Australia. We have about 2,500 kilometers of ocean separating us, which keeps all of Australia's deadly animals away from us, which means that we're basically permanently terrified in Australia. And in Australia, okay, I've lived in Australia, so I know if I'm at the beach and I see a cute little octopus with blue rings around its legs, run away. If I see a jellyfish, a Portuguese man of war, I know what that looks like, or a box jellyfish, it looks like a box. Okay, cool, I know what to do. Stay away. If I see a spider with a red stripe down its back, I know that that's a redback, so I know not to touch it. If you told me to draw a picture of a funnel web spider, however, I don't know. I don't know what they look like. Apparently, they just look like a pretty average-looking black little spider. That whenever I see any spider in Australia, and I don't know what it is, and I don't know what most of them are, I have to assume that it's a funnel web, which is apparently one of the most dangerous spiders in the world. And I don't know, they found another version of a funnel web called the Big Boy. The funnel web called the Big Boy. That is disturbing. Yeah, like just what Australia needs, more poisonous spiders. But I guess that's what they export. Yeah, I noticed that as well. Cobra Stanchi, they didn't even update. I kind of thought maybe that was just that they were screwing with Elon, but no, it just seems like maybe they were incompetent. So what can we do? 3 hours, 36 kilometers. That is what I ran. And that is an average of less than 5 minutes per kilometer, which is my target for the race. So I was running, but I was running 4:45. So I was aiming for 40 kilometers based on my pace in the first half. But then my toenails turned black on my small toes. I discovered after 3 hours, after 2.5 hours, that my shoes weren't perfectly fitting. And things started to hurt. So yeah, not fun. But I think I know I can run for 3.5 hours. But my curve, I really dropped off at the end. So we'll see how that goes. Shubhas, I'm glad that you made it. I hope you're having a beautiful cup of Panamanian tea there. Tea, coffee, or tea, if that's your thing. Good to have you in here. Body pump class for lifting. Okay, thank you for the recommendation. Les Mills, New Zealander. He was mayor of Auckland, my hometown, actually. He did not make us all do body pump, but there were a lot of Les Mills gyms in New Zealand. But yeah, there's another Kiwi guy. But he, again, the gyms were famous because they had such great programs. And anything to distract me from the fact I'm actually lifting, I will sign up for. So thank you for the advice there. The SM7B says, believe in yourself. That's right. In fact, now they've got a USB version, which actually saves the need for the interface, which I have got my eye on that. But there we go. Black Tengu, look after the knees. People have been telling me that since I was in high school, but yes, I am. I'm actually wearing some really soft soled New Balance shoes that are really good for impact. So I am trying to protect the knees as much as I can. I will wear the Vaporflies for the big day, which are a carbon plate shoe. They make you go a little bit faster. But yeah. The fact I've been running on roads in Tokyo is kind of funny. While I've been waiting for my knees to fall apart, like everything else has. We'll see how I go. Ida, you can vouch for the advice of your father. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, this is Ida. I agree with my father as well. I think sometimes exactly you can get so caught up in thinking about something that you forget to do it along the way. I'm a great believer in just putting one foot in front of the next and not thinking beyond the immediate next step. I did have a couple of moments today when it really got painful at about 2.5 hours, saying, why am I doing this again? How much longer do I have to do this for? But every time I just said to myself, just effing do it. Just turn on YouTube or change to music, anything. If YouTube's boring, switch to that. But there we go. A former army yourself. Oh, you were in the Danish army, Ida. Well, former. I'm glad to see former because it looks like you might you might have to do service defending Greenland soon by the looks of it. So yeah. Believe in yourself. Former dentist ran himself to pieces. He ran marathons, sometimes weekly. Yeah, and I hear that it's a bug. I know people that definitely do that. They sign up for more and more marathons. For me, it's just something I've run so much the last few years, I feel like I should get it done. I literally won the lottery. I won the Tokyo Marathon lottery. It's kind of like... It's kind of funny, like, yes, I won the lottery. I got in the marathon. And then I realized, oh, is this like a prize? This is more like a punishment. But again, one foot in front of the other, we just get it done. My camera is just in love with me and loves following me around. It's got squirrels. It's being operated by squirrel. There's a squirrel right behind it right now. It's going like this as it's taking video of it. AI, who knew? Gesticulation camera following, who knew? Yeah, actually there is a setting where literally I can do gestures. And it will, I think if I did like an L and I zoomed in like this, it would actually zoom in with that. But, I may just want to say that those people are just a bunch of losers, and then the zoom would happen. It would get awkward, so I turned it off. Atomic, we got Atomic Tom in here. Good to have our man in from Germany. As always, good to have you there in the chat. Lysander 45, glad that you made it mostly there. Always appreciate the interactions on Twitter and whatnot as well. Encourage everybody, by the way, as I did before, please get onto Blue Sky. Nessa, He's not really, though. The ruble is rising. Oil and gold are both up, along with crypto, which all help float the Ukraine war. Yeah, I don't know. Well, like I say, anything that helps move things along there in the direction of Russia getting its ass kicked, I am in favor of, even if it's unintentional. But who knows? Good to see you, Nessa. As always, great to see you've got so many people here in the chat. 14 people in the chat. Do remember to like the video. I do appreciate that. Workout programs all over the world. They have a bunch of really good ones. Well, again, that's why he got to be one of the most famous people in my hometown. So there we go. And the mayor. But yes, we got people drinking tea. Drink check. We've got all of this stuff. Let's get into the topics because it is already 10:54 and I started a little bit late. So what do we got here? Let me put this. In fact, this is kind of cool. It looks. Oh no, that doesn't work. My monitors are overlapping awkwardly, so I am. Boom. Hang on a sec. I am going to enlarge it here. There we go. So what do we got? Punk Doily. It's kind of funny. I've seen Punk Doily, an account not on Blue Sky, on Twitter and Instagram. They are an Aussie guy who has a little homemade meat pie and Australia, New Zealand. He's an Aussie guy, but he makes sort of New Zealand, Australia style sweets, which when I went back to New Zealand and I think the first day I had some fudge and it wasn't even like sugar. It was like if you took sugar and you mixed it with crack and you boiled it down and concentrated it. One bite and my eyes were spinning. And it was definitely something I've talked about before, how I noticed my palate change when I came to Japan and I went off sweets for a while. Kiwis are like so overexposed to sugar. That said, someone was saying, oh, if you go to Punk Doily, don't get the sweets then, just get the meat pies. They're really good and they are very good. But there's no way I'm not getting a lamington, a pavlova. Pavlova, you have to have best food in the world. They've got great sweets, great meat pies. They are in the suburbs. They're in like Setagaya on top of an apartment building. It's a really cool spot. I need to go back there. People reminding me. The TikTok sale. I still find this whole thing, just remembering how the story has emerged, I feel like we keep forgetting the context. Trump did not bring up like banning TikTok until a whole bunch of TikTokers pranked him, by buying tickets to one of his rallies and not showing up. And then he said he was going to ban it. And then everybody said, we need to do this because China is dangerous. And, the Democrats who always get kind of fooled into wanting to not, give a point away to the Republicans. So they always act tougher on crime because they don't want to look like they're softer on crime when Republicans say that. And it was the same with China on this. They said, we're going to be just as tough, so we're going to ban TikTok. And now they're talking about not selling it, but also Trump is saying we're going to make somebody buy half of it and make it American. I don't know how this works. I don't use TikTok myself. I've got enough apps and algorithms in my life, but I do hear that the algorithm for this is both disturbingly powerful, but also incredibly, it's like with the ads. I hate ads on websites, including like this one, but I accept that they are necessary to exist. But I also think if I'm going to have to see ads for these websites and services to exist, I at least want to see ads that are relevant to me. I don't want to see, ads for bras. I don't need those yet. So, if you have a recommendation algorithm that recognizes what I'm interested in, well, at least the ads are relevant to me if I'm going to see anything. I would prefer to have content, an effective algorithm. And apparently with this as well, everyone says it just recommends videos that you want to watch. So from that perspective, and this is technology being done by China that they're just very good at, and apparently better, maybe even than Meta and then American companies. No one's been able to make anything that quite matches the effectiveness of that. So I don't know what happens if they sell half of it off. And part of me thinks this whole thing is just partisan. It literally just started from a teenage prank is how this whole thing started, is my recollection. And banning a whole social media service and then forcing it to be sold off is just kind of stupid. But then I remember, well, China forces every company operating in China to have a 50% majority local partner. So as stupid as the whole thing is, it's exactly what China forces everybody to do. And I do think that there is a kind of a kernel of truth in here that, China's complaining about this and it being discriminatory, and it is, but at the same time, it's exactly what China does to American companies. So maybe there's a way here to say, hey, China, open up and let foreign companies operate without, Chinese guys, which would be impossible, of course, for China, but that's kind of the point, right? So I don't know. I go back and forth on feeling sorry for TikTok and not feeling sorry for it. I think overall it is bullshit, honestly, the ban. And when I said on Twitter the other day that the ban is bullshit, a whole bunch of people said, how can you say that? They're dangerous. They're spying on us. I'm like, really? I mean, like this camera that I'm using right now. Hello, Communist People's Party, whatever. This is made in China. And I believe the issue that they raise with TikTok is not that they know that it's cooperated with spying from China. It's that theoretically there are laws in China that say that if you're ordered to share information, secretly with the government of China, you have to cooperate. There are laws on the books that say this. So theoretically, any company located in China that's a Chinese domiciled sort of Chinese-owned company can be forced to cooperate with Chinese government if it wants it to help it with spying. That probably includes the Insta360 camera company that made the webcam that I'm using right now and the running camera that I used. I don't know that they'd find anything particularly interesting, but there again, there is a legitimate point when so much stuff is not only made in China, but also at this point, because America's and Europe has really forgotten how to make and how to machine parts in order to mass manufacture things. We've really lost the ability to manufacture. We've given all of this up to China. So again, the same arguments apply to, TikTok as much as to my webcam as much as they do to TikTok. I mean, my keyboard that I love, that Believe in Yourself loves, this thing, handmade in Shenzhen, and I love it. And, if it's spying on me, I hope they're enjoying it. But so again, I do think it's bullshit. But there again, I mean, the security stuff, and people say, how could you be for this? I'm like, seriously, getting rid of Chinese goods from your life is probably harder than getting rid of sugar. It's just in everything. It's in stuff you wouldn't expect it's in. You literally would have to go and live on a farm off the grid. You'd have to become the Unabomber pretty much to avoid China products at this point. Not saying that's a good or a bad thing, but yeah, I don't know. I think that the idea that now Oracle and Microsoft are sort of hovering around thinking about buying it, I don't know what to think of that. It strikes me as BS. Anyway, moving on. Any comments here? We've got Ishiba says he hopes that more Japanese companies pull out of China and bring the jobs home. Japan is pulling companies out of China. Japan's had other reasons to move out of China for a long time, and it's not spying. China risk, as it's called in Japan, is how multiple times whenever there is domestic economic problems, the government says to everybody, okay, if you all want to have a protest so much, don't protest against us, protest against the Japanese forgetting about World War II or something like that. Or Japan asserting that it owns the Senkaku Islands or something like that. And when that happens, Chinese people go crazy. Chinese people working at Japanese factories burn the Japanese factories down. Japanese exchange students in China get beaten up by mobs. Shopping malls, built by Japanese companies, was set on fire. Audi dealerships, are the famous Audi dealerships in China who, posted advertisements with everybody saying, we will walk over the deaths of thousands, the graves of thousands of dead Japanese people, and buy an Audi. No bad implications for I mean, what was that? What was Audi doing in 1943? I don't know, but probably genocidal, racial genocidal propaganda. Not a good idea. So yeah, Japanese companies, and on top of that, Chinese wages have been going up, which is honestly probably more than the racism and the violence and the arson. It's probably just the fact that their wages are going up. That Japan's been relocating a lot of its manufacturing. Myanmar seemed like a good idea at the time until they had that woman doing the aerobics class while the coup was happening. I don't think the aerobics class was the reason, but Myanmar, it kills me what Myanmar did to itself. It had so much potential. So now people are all investing in Vietnam. Now even in India. I don't think those manufacturing jobs are coming back to Japan, but the way the yen is right now, I mean, hell, maybe it will. I was actually, tonight I was squirrel chase. I was eating dinner with my son, And I was looking at a speaker inside the restaurant, and it was a Sony wireless speaker, and it was kind of tinny. I didn't like it very much. And then I just remembered just the whole thing with Sony. And literally the thought that went through my head was, you've got a company, Sony, that was famous for basically first copying transistors from United States technology, just like Chinese companies did. And then some of these engineers that had nothing. They literally had badly translated textbooks and their brains and just a willingness to work 10 times harder than anyone else. They sort of figured out, one, how to catch up and make technology without being taught how to do it, just from copying and interpreting, and then to improve that technology. And then over years, becoming so good at engineering stuff. And there was a time in the 90s when Sony was considered a bit like Apple was considered maybe 10 years ago as the best engineered, the best quality made electronic products in the world. And this was what Sony's brand was. They were innovative. They invented the Walkman. They made all these cool, the best TVs in the world. They made the best stereos in the world. And they didn't just make everything good. They made it more good than it had to be. It was made stylishly, and it overperformed. And then in the 1990s, Sony bought a whole bunch of media companies that became Sony Music and Sony Movies and Sony Pictures and whatever. And the head of those divisions, Howard Stringer, was put in charge of Sony. And he said, you know what? Media and content generation is the future, not manufacturing. Manufacturing is low margin, and China's going to catch up to us anyway. So instead of making the best products in the world, we're just going to make, average products. In China, we're going to fire all of our Japanese engineers, and we're just going to make good enough products that will realize more profit and focus on our media businesses. And so they started hamstringing technology like the mini disc player, which they deliberately restricted how it could be used. They bought Iowa, which was sort of a crappy offshore manufacturing thing, and they sort of switched from having the best high quality products in the world to having these shitty products, which is pretty much what all that Sony does now. And thinking about all of that, and thinking about all the great historically world leading engineers who brought up and made Sony the success that it was. And one American guy basically saying, oh, no, there's more money in Hollywood and making music, so we're going to do that now. And look, there is money in entertainment, and they've done a good job with that. Sony is a successful media business. But at the same time, it's kind of sad what they've done, what they did to their engineers, how they were just sort of cast aside immediately, when I'd like to think that just based on quality, it could have continued to succeed. So manufacturing jobs, I don't think are coming back to Japan, and that's sad because there's now a generation of knowledge which has just been lost because they were so good at doing this. But yeah, Sadiq, good to see you, Sadiq. Nice to see you in the chat. Good to have you in here. Saw a fantastic video that I tweeted. Actually, it's the very next tweet that I did today. This video is 45 minutes long, and it's the most interesting geopolitics video. Nothing to do with Japan, but it is really worth watching. How the current situation in in Syria, changing government, has dramatic implications for Russia, for Iran, for Israel, for Qatar, even for African countries. But the biggest country that gets to benefit from the change of regime in Syria, provided everything works out in a way that's friendly to Turkey. Turkey stands to replace Russia as the primary energy sort of conduit energy source in the same way that Russia has been. Turkey can replace that now by funneling basically Qatar gas into Europe. They'll need to cooperate with Israel and some other countries to do that, but they can basically funnel everything through that. Basically, the implications of the change of regime in Syria and all the stuff that's been happening for United States, for Russia, for Israel, for Iran, everybody, for Hezbollah and Lebanon and so on. The implications are so enormous, and this explains it so well in just a few days. And it's really fascinating to trace how the dominoes fell, how Russia invested so much in keeping Assad in power, basically because it let the Russians have a naval base in Syria, which is the only way that basically Russia can, one, stop Syria playing its part of being like a stepping stone for energy that would compete against Russia from getting to Turkey and going into Europe, but also their whole Mediterranean presence and everything else. And just that one thing that basically Israel's war with Hezbollah caused Hezbollah not to be able to back up Assad, killing his own people to suppress the rebels there. And the war there went from a stalemate to the government collapsing in just a few days. It's a great, I mean, maybe you already have all this information in Turkish better than I have it, but it's the best watch I've had in a while. I watched this while I was torturing myself running 36Ks. I highly recommend it for anyone interested in geopolitics. There's some really dramatic stuff is happening right now. And it would appear what Trump is saying to everyone about, getting OPEC to pump more oil, and I don't know if they'll actually do it, but it does appear like some sort of deal is being done between the US and Saudi that could complement all of this and lead to really dramatic changes in the world, which are extremely bad for Russia and Iran, and very good for Turkey. So really interesting times anyway. Moving on, in fact, quickly going through about forgetting to manufacture. Ida talking about, you saw a great video on the Walkman and the fact that there is only one tape mechanism used now. Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose it's a redundant technology, but again, those engineers just, if they've done anything, they probably went over to China to go and teach people how to make things. But even that, Sony just decided, Howard Stringer decided, rather than teaching them how to make things well, they just took existing crappy, low-quality companies like Iowa and just used their manufacturing processes. So Sony's just really gone to hell. That sweet synthetic smell of CDs and tapes. Hell, I used to, the same way that I like to DJ now, I used to have a cassette, twin cassette recorder, and I'd listen to the radio and I'd record every track on the radio that I liked and make my own compilation tapes. So yeah, I definitely, and as tapes degrade over time, I dealt with that as well. But yeah, Magegos X, great to have you in the chat as well, along with everybody else. Thank you for sharing the link, Aaron. Excellent. Yeah, it's again, I do recommend that. That one tape was crap. That is also true. I mean, you have to clean the heads periodically. Same with the video recorders. Troubling stuff. It's kind of an Ishiba. He's only been prime minister for a couple of months and nobody likes him. His own party doesn't like him. The public doesn't like him. He had his chance. Currently, the approval rate is 35%. The disapproval rate is 49%. So you'd think, well, the government must be about to collapse. But the number one opposition party polling at 5%. The lesson of which being that Japan just hates all politicians. Literally none of the above continues to be the most popular political party. Brewster's Millions, fantastic movie. Justin Connolly, good to see you there in the comments. And yes, hey, I know this sounds a bit cliche now, but I still am. I was a legit vinyl DJ. I used to DJ drum and bass music. And yeah, if there's a girl I liked, I'd totally make a mixtape. And it's kind of funny because I'd have to make mixtapes to audition for events where I'd go DJ at. And I remember I wanted to do happy hardcore, which is like Dutch, British sort of hardcore techno. And I'd have the A side would be on my happy hardcore mix. And then on the B side, I'd have a mix of my girlfriend's drum and bass music. And I get told, hey, not so much a fan of the A side, but if you'll play the B side type music, you get to play at the event. So when I broke up with that girlfriend, I kind of paid her some compensation and asked her for all of her records. And I became a drum and bass DJ, which I did actually like the music as well. But no one liked my cheesy, happy, hardcore music. But yeah, mixtapes, they were a big part of the 90s. There we go. Lara is not here. Sadiq looking out for Lara. Lara is here. Everybody, yes. Everybody connecting there. Good to see. Also, everybody, remember to like. Remember to like. Anyway, so no one likes Ishiba. Ishiba is sad. He issued his first ever big policy speech where he basically replayed all the greatest hits, saying he wanted to move the government out of Tokyo and spend lots of money on the boonies where no one wants to live and force bureaucrats to move there. And yeah, just saying we'd really like it if everyone would raise wages, which Abe also begged people for. At the moment, Japan actually has 3% inflation. Higher inflation than America, according to the latest announcement. I think this is another story I've got in the links here. And yet no wage inflation whatsoever. It's purely driven by the yen being so cheap and everything just getting expensive. Literally, that is 3% inflation just making everybody poor. except for people who run hotels. So that is a thing that is happening. Everybody came out and pretty much just said that was like the lamest PM policy portfolio speech that everyone had heard in a long time, including the Mainichi Shimbun, which is not like a radical anti-LDP left-wing paper or anything like that. But yeah, they didn't do a good job. Mainichi talking about how to stave off winter depression. Are you like not sleeping very well? Are you eating too many carbs and all this sort of stuff? Apparently, this is part of winter depression, and I learned, I guess it exists and everyone gets affected by it. But God, when I lived in Seattle in February, like literally this time of year last year, I guess I arrived in February, so a little bit after like a month, I was like, what the hell is this? I have not seen the sun in like more than 30 days. And I was running around frantically worried about my mental health, actually. I could feel it. And people said, everyone said take vitamin D supplements, which I was taking. But then I was like, okay, I don't want to be taking all these tablets. How can I take it naturally? And everyone said salmon. Pacific Northwest, eat salmon to avoid depression. So I was eating like... and the salmon, of course, in Seattle is fantastic. I was eating a lot of salmon. So that was what I took. If you're getting winter depression or whatever, eat salmon. Tokyo is actually pretty sunny during winter. It is, I mean, you know, we have crappy weather days, but overall, like today, it was spectacular and sunny. The rest of Japan, however, if you're outside of Tokyo, it is cloudy and snowy. And Japan's had fantastic snow this year if you're into skiing and all that sort of stuff. But of course, that also shows that they've not been getting a lot of sunshine. But Tokyo gets a lot of sunshine during winter, so it's a good place to be. But there we go. Lack of sunlight, definitely a big one. Seasonal affective disorder, that's the one. Flowing, oh yeah. Actually, it's kind of funny, Sadiq. I saw a news story showing how snow on the beach in Florida and melting glaciers in Alaska happening at the same time. Who knows what's going on? But yeah, crazy weather there in Florida. Not what you typically think. Dan H, glad that you can make it. Question, have I seen the Law Sky, former Law Twitter, debate and discussion about, by the way, is that Blue Sky, Law Sky? I don't know. Debate and discussion about Microsoft changing their Office suite to 365 with Copilots, fears over client confidentiality with AI scraping data. I have not. I can speak generically about this. I don't know actually Microsoft specific terms about this. If Microsoft does have permission to scrape data using its, to actually read the prompts that people are using, no one would use it. I mean, enterprises would refuse to use it for that. And I think it's a big difference, I think, between the big enterprise IT companies and OpenAI, that I don't think they're supposed to do that. But if they are actually using confidential code that, and inputs from copilots to train and improve their own models, yeah, that would be pretty problematic. I don't think they're actually supposed to be doing that. And certainly, companies at least can negotiate. Their Microsoft 365 deals with Microsoft, from what I understand. But a little bit too close to home and where I work. But look, my answer as an IT lawyer is, if you're dealing with business information and confidential information, do not use any tool, which unfortunately includes OpenAI's ChatGPT. Do not use that with real live production company secrets. A lot of companies have made a lot of news that a lot of companies were banning ChatGPT from the workplace. But yeah, employees of ChatGPT are allowed to, they store all of the stuff that you copy and paste into ChatGPT, and they occasionally review it to check the performance of the models. They're an experimental lab. They're not an enterprise IT company. If you want to use in production these sort of AI tools, make sure that you're using it from a company that will commit to not peeking at your stuff. And I thought that Microsoft would be a company that would promise that, but maybe they're not, because they are definitely partnered with OpenAI. But I thought this was something that distinguished them. So I'm kind of curious. Actually, Dan H, could you shoot me the link for that? Because that is actually kind of close to home to my work, and I would like to check that out. Salmon and coffee. That's your winter diet, says Edo. Good Denmark man there. Yeah, I must say, I'm a big fan of the salmon. I got to like it quite a lot. 17 likes. Good to see. AI can see all. Meh. Yeah, it sounds like a movie plot. It's probably good to assume that in some ways. It does scrape everything, but yeah. Or have a company run LLM. Well, that's another thing as well. If your company's, hosting it or, having it confidential, there are solutions. Again, a little bit too close to home, so I can't really answer this in too much detail. But you can use other companies' LLMs, or you can develop your own. Developing your own is a lot of money. And just confidentiality is not a reason to do that. You can have confidential use of big famous LLMs, but you just got to make sure that that's what you've got. So anyway, back into the topics. Salmon, we're talking about salmon. Here's the thing about wages. Wages in Japan now are more than America, but no wage inflation to be seen. Wages haven't gone up in ages, even though Japanese price inflation is going up. So Japan kind of getting the worst of everything with this. And another way that Japan's getting the worst of everything, pardon me, is hotel prices in Japan, record high at some ski resorts. Some rooms are going for like 260,000 yen per night. That is like in New Zealand dollars, $2,600 was what, about $1,500 a night. Basically, Japanese can't afford to stay in hotels anymore in Japan. And yet immediately some British person responded to when I posted this, saying still absolute bargains compared to the UK. Who hurt you, UK? Why are you doing this to people? I don't know, but yeah. For Japan, this is like the prices are getting to be ridiculous that people pretty much would need to sleep on park benches. Interesting to see this getting some attention. I don't talk generally about crime and topics like sexual assault and so on here. It's just not my thing. There are channels that do this sort of thing. But Shiori Ito's case, for those of you who, it's come up from time to time. She was a journalist who was invited to have a meeting with a bureaucrat in, I believe, Akasaka Mitsuke in central Tokyo, and was raped by him. However, police, just based on it being her word only and no other sort of evidence, police refused to go through with it. And she sort of lobbied very hard to have a prosecution go through of a very senior bureaucrat. And basically the police sort of refused to consider it. So she took up a civil case for rape against him, which she won, but dealt with a ton of harassment, including seemingly from people sort of, from media, that were basically working in cahoots with the government departments that wanted to shut down the case. And as a journalist, she was blacklisted. So got a lot of attention, but at the same time was also very much suppressed story in Japan as well because of the people that she was campaigning against. Jake Edelstein. He actually introduced her to the FCCJ in dramatic fashion. Apparently, he believed that she was being threatened by the Yakuza at the time. So there's a lot of dramatic stuff going on. Apparently somebody put together, in fact, I believe it was her, she put it together herself. She made a documentary herself about her own sexual assault lawsuit against this powerful sort of bureaucrat that did it. And that documentary is being nominated, it seems, for an Academy Award in the US. In fact, it gets an Academy Award? Nomination, yes. Of course, she's blacklisted in Japan, and so of course her documentary is of course not available anywhere to watch in Japan. And even her own lawyer criticizes aspects of it, like for example where she recorded her interactions with the police and so on not being helpful. But there again, you talk about something. One, it's about, from what I know of the story, it would be a compelling story. And hell, if it was made into an Academy Award-winning documentary, Japan loves getting awards. I mean, if Murakami keeps getting, nominated for the Nobel Literature Prize and never gets it, but all the attention that he gets, well, she gets a documentary that gets an award winning, it's going to have to get broadcast, right? It's an interesting way to get around the black box, the blackballing thing that she's subject to. And indeed, that's part of what makes the whole thing powerful as a documentary. So, I must admit, I hope that there's a way that I would like to see this. Sounds, the whole thing is a great promotion for a movie that's really being suppressed. Eric Bailey, glad that you can make it. I'm glad we can start the show now. Good to see you in there. My throat's a bit dry. Pardon me. Insurance companies are getting a huge fan of artificial intelligence. They use AI to deny everything that comes in. Great profits. I think it's a little bit simplistic, and there's been automation around request processing for a long time. In the end of the day, it's not the AI that denies anything. In fact, again, the AI companies that I know have in their terms of use that you cannot use the AI to unsupervised make decisions that impact health or financial impacts for customers. So it'd be of course they can develop their own AIs for that purpose. You can automate anything, but unfortunately, I think it's more often than not human people, or there's some degree of human supervision. The problem's not the AI. The problem is the policies that those AIs and the employees are carrying out. And again, the companies should be, and there are cases, where companies have denied compensation for people that they were entitled to, and so on. And I think, and some people, I think the companies even tried to argue, oh, that was our bot made a mistake. That wasn't our fault. And there was a precedent set a few months ago that, of course, saying that, no, your bot is you. Whatever it is, you have to honor it. So if they are blindly using AI for this purpose, they're accountable for it. The question is really making companies accountable for denying people, coverage where it's owed, rather than the AI. But certainly, the easier it gets to, at scale, just blanket deny claims, that makes it worse. The Nakai case, I talked about the Nakai case. Apparently, FujiTV is handling this whole thing so badly that it's actually now advertisers are en masse pulling away from FujiTV. It's like Twitter. Everyone's abandoning. Japan has lots of celebrity scandals and entertainment scandals. They're kind of routine, and it seemed to be following the normal course. But the sort of exodus of people, people don't want to sponsor anything new on FujiTV anymore, and they can't even fund new TV shows. So this looks like it might actually result in the the actual business of FujiTV going under, which, by the way, have that spectacular building over in Odaiba. Aaron's saying something there. Hotels are really increasing in price. You have negotiated rates for where you work, Aaron. Last year, you got 50,000, 65,000 yen base per night. Now it's already jumped by 50% in 1 year. That's more than 3% inflation right there. It's crazy. I mean, again, and people coming in from overseas can afford it, but people in Japan just cannot. So that's a fantastic example on the hotel rates. Thank you for that, Aaron. Apparently, the dead Nakai theory. Some Nakai Masahiro fans are using conspiracy theories to cope. Well, I believe it's a conspiracy theory that Nakai even has fans. I've told you what I think about him. He is the... How was he even in SMAP to begin with? He was literally in there to stop the rest of SMAP intimidating people by being too good at singing and dancing. He was literally there to make them look like normies so that people, so that it would be more accessible. He was added for being... He was tone deaf. He could not sing. If you ever listen to any SMAP song, every harmony is always slightly off key. There's always somebody in the background harmonizing incorrectly. And it's that motherfucker, seriously. And he has a terrible personality and, treats women terribly. So there you go. I saw this picture of the Twin Peaks Cafe, and I've eaten there. That was in just out of Seattle. I've been there twice. But anyway, excellent cafe, actually. In America, the American diner thing, even the crappy coffee, which is literally on the menu, is called a damn fine cup of coffee. That was awesome. In news about things that sucks and kind of is crazy, apparently a Kurdish girl, her family had some sort of immigration status request denied, so she lost her residency status. And so the school that she was attending thought, well, if you are no longer a legal, a recognized Japan resident, if your immigration status changes, then we're going to expel you from the school, which the education ministry then corrected the school, saying, no, you're not allowed to expel students just because of their visas. That's a whole separate thing. You shouldn't be punishing the children for that. So she's been reinstated to the school, although, again, what kind of dickheads would kick a kid out of a school because on the basis of her family, asylum claim. In Japan, someone from the Democrats is saying that certain lots of the coronavirus vaccine killed everybody who received it. So again, this comes back to my theory that the Democrats in Japan, 5%, in spite of the LDP having 49% disapprove and 30% support, the reason the Democrats are still 5.8% and not improving is because they have idiots saying stuff like this. So yeah, another really, really interesting video this week is just talking about how even cut off from chips and later sort of US expertise and whatever, just working with, basically no budget and US open source models, China's been able to replicate the OpenAI reasoning models, or a DeepSeek, a small underfunded company in China has basically, their engineers have figured out how to develop AI models on like 1/50th the cost that OpenAI spends. And they've got a proprietary model, but the Chinese released it as open source within like a month or two of these breakthrough new AI types being launched in America, which again makes me there's a big argument that's discussed here that taking away the semiconductor manufacturing, taking away the chips from China is just giving China the incentive to make their own chips and learn how to make better models that work more efficiently. And that's what they seem to be doing, which ultimately, for like delaying China for 2 years, you could literally be giving away your ability to control the entire AI industry. It seems short-sighted. So yeah, which Kurd? There's a huge Kurdish community in Kawaguchi in Japan, and I believe, and they are fairly well. There's a well-established community there. Yeah. No, and again, it looks like somebody's probably had their. Japan is very tough on asylum claims, and there's a lot there that are claiming it. So, yeah, the story there is I believe that her family's request for an immigration visa has been denied, and that's the problem. Anyway, it is 11:30 p.m. I am tired. I've got to go to work. It's kind of funny. Whenever I do the after party, I get all energized and I have trouble sleeping afterwards. Sometimes I even listen back the entire mix after I do it. And then on Monday, I'm just destroyed on Monday morning. And also tomorrow morning, I have to run for 60 minutes before I go to work, which means I have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and before breakfast on an empty stomach, I have to run for an hour, even though I still feel kind of destroyed from running 36 kilometers today. Just got to do this for another month, I guess. So being overly energized and unable to go to sleep after this, it's but there again, it is worth it. This is something, by the way, hanging out with all you guys every week is a genuine source of joy for me. I really do enjoy this. Every week I enjoy hanging out with you all. I also enjoy the after parties. DJ Sunny Side Up, I just messaged him back. He's coming here in late March, and I think I will in addition to meeting up with him, I will see about setting up between March 19 and March 21-ish, around that time. We'll see how it goes. But I think I might set up a meetup for people who are in Tokyo or thinking to come to Tokyo around that time. That'd be nice. But of course, remember, whenever you're coming to Tokyo, just hit me up. I am not Chris Broad. I will, most days, if I can, I will come and meet you for lunch and hang out. I've done that with a lot of you. So anytime you're around, remember to do that. I am going to wrap this up and go and set up the after party. I hope that you all have an excellent, very, very good week. Aaron looks forward to it every week. I look forward to having you here every week. Thank you all for keeping me company. After party link, Aaron has it in there. Remember to like the video. That is pretty much the, if only... I don't monetize these videos, so yeah, I just do it for likes. I appreciate that. Hope you all have a great week, and I will see you all soon. I'm going to go set up the after party now, and you get to see the new interface that I was playing with the other day. That hopefully will make it easier for you all to see what's going on. So see you at the after party. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Remember, you can follow me on Blue Sky. I'm on all the other things as well. Hiko Simon on everything. Have a good one. Boom. Peace. Well, that was like a zoom in focus. That was kind of cool. There he is. Wow, you can see like the hairs on my hand. It's kind of freaky. Anyway, end of the stream.